All right, welcome into another edition of Catching Up with Tommy Mac here on 1010XL's podcast platform, 1010XL.com, the 1010XL app. Of course, we are live on my Facebook, and that is shared all over the place, including how we film right here, and then archived on the YouTube channel, Jaguars 1010XL YouTube channel, and then all over the place, including on TommyMac.net. My show brought to you by Team Tommy Mac, a group of businesses that I personally endorse. They all get exclusivity, and they're absolutely fantastic. Always there when you need them. Of course, want to welcome in once again a new one to the table. To the team is Morgan & Morgan. ForThePeople.com, the largest personal injury law firm in the entire world. So there you go. Great to have them on board. We'll talk about the rest of the team as well because they're just as fantastic. Lots to get into today in a short period of time. So I had a little kick in the nuts earlier. My car got a flat. I had this machine that would normally fix it, but it didn't. So that happened last night. I couldn't do anything last night. Had to show today. Just got done setting it up. Got to go meet the towing company. Taking it to Mavis Tire. Gonna get the tires fixed. And we'll be up and running. Quick reminder, tonight, the Dad Bods at Culhane's Irish Pub in Atlantic Beach. I hope you all can make it out there. It's going to be a hell of a time. A lot of fun. It's our first show of the year. We haven't played since December 1, and we are ready to get after it. Can't wait. Can't wait. I'm sure my family's tired of me singing in the house all week long. House, shower, car, garage, you name it. I am definitely trying to belt it out. We'll do team stats review. We'll go through the game. And I got something here that I was thinking about today. A little bit of Trent Baalke, a little bit of Josh Hines-Allen, and a little bit about pressures. Because I saw where, going into this game, Josh Hines-Allen needs to get 3 pressures to reach 70, which is a number that will include him with some of the best pass rushers in the game. Trey Hendrickson, Watt, all those guys. There's a bunch of them. No, there's 4 of them. I didn't write them all down. But guys like that. Trey Hendrickson, one of the best in the National Football League. He may win the sack crown this year. We'll see. Don't make fun of my girly glasses. Actually, I can see very well with them. I like them a lot. But he also needs 2.5 sacks to break Tony Bracken's record of 55 career sacks. Tony Bracken's, his career cut way too short. That guy would have over 100, I bet. He was absolutely incredible. And Josh Hines-Allen not too far away from that. Trayvon Walker, a half a sack away from back-to-back double digits, which hasn't been done in sacks since Calais Campbell. How about that? Hey, I like these. This is cool, right? Etienne, 6 receptions to pass Leonard Fournette. Would move him into 4th place with 134. Brian Thomas Jr. needs 135 yards to pass Moss, OBJ, and Michael Clayton as the most yards as a rookie. So a lot to play for individually, not a lot to play for as a team. Jags are 4-12. Colts are 7-9. Colts got their hearts ripped out last week by losing to the Giants. Their season's done. No playoffs for them. And we know where our Jaguars sit at 4-12. 4-12 reminds me of, oh, by the way, losing the last 17 out of 22. Interesting. Which, look, we don't know what's going to happen. I'll address Greg Huntington, my good friend, former teammate, good friend of mine, who was on the Baloo show last night talking about him and Mark Brunell's conversation. Look, I wasn't there. I know Brunell, him and I kind of text, not every so often, but I just asked him, like, would you like to come down? Of course he would. That was before it came out. I don't know how true it is, but look, Greg is he's a trustworthy guy. Him and Mark are buddies, and they have been for a long time. So I think for me, it's just, I was a little surprised just because it could be a distraction, And if you're Dan Campbell, what do you think? And if you're Ben Johnson, what do you think? I don't know. Maybe you don't care. Maybe it's already a done deal. I mean, who is it? Albert Breer says it's a done deal. Now, what's interesting is, do you let the coach pick the GM, or are you picking a GM at the same time? Again, I'm for everything. I got this little weird feeling that he's going to run it back. I think he's going to give him another year. I don't know if that's true. And it's probably, I wouldn't think it is. You hear, stories of, they're not communicating a lot, Shad and Doug. Shad didn't go to the locker room after they beat the Titans last week. I don't know how much that means. If it means anything at all, I might not want to go down there anyway. They still are terrible. And, I'm looking forward for this season to be over. I don't know. I'm not in the mind of Shad Khan. But we'll get into all of that. And, of course, we'll talk about the matchup. Look, we don't know who's going to be the QB. Is it AR? Is it Flacco? They both can hurt you. We've seen that before. Jonathan Taylor could run all over your ass and probably will because our defense isn't very good. By the way, our stats were very similar in stats, the team stats between the Colts and the Jags, and they're at 7-9, and of course we're with only 4 wins in the year. Before I get any further, let's welcome in Grammage. Grammage, how are you, my friend? Happy Friday, buddy.
Happy Friday. Happy New Year.
Happy New Year, too. That's right. First show of the new year.
It's hope to God it's a new year, new Jags.
Doesn't it feel like the New Year's is like it happened a while ago? It doesn't feel like it just happened to me. I don't know. It feels kind of strange.
You know why I think it probably happens that way?
Tuesday?
No, I think it's because you and I base a lot of our calendar around football.
Around football, yeah.
And
yep.
This team is so hideous and disgusting to watch that we turned the page a long time ago.
Yeah.
So to us, it's been like we're thinking about next year anyways already, like 2 months ago. So
yeah, and it's going to be an interesting offseason. Will there be a Black Monday for the Jacksonville Jaguar fan base?
There needs to be. There has to be.
That what do you think happens? There's a lot of talk about Ben Johnson.
Yeah.
I find it strange that it's so public because
I do too.
They got a lot of work to do. He's got to be focused on winning the Super Bowl, not his next gig. So I'm a little surprised by that. But whatever. What does your gut tell you? Do you think? Not what you want.
In terms of will they clean house or not?
Will they clean house? Will they keep one of them? Will they keep both of them? Will they get rid of both of them?
I believe they're going to clean house.
You do.
And I didn't necessarily feel that way a few months ago.
Yep.
When things really started to go south, but I think that things have gone south enough that I don't believe you can justify bringing back the coach that's directly responsible for the wins and losses on the field. And then you look at the fact that Trent Baalke was also a part of the last failed regime. There's no way you can justify keeping him through 2 failed regimes. I just don't know that there's.
Well, he didn't hire Urban.
No, but he was.
He was like the interim and then became the GM.
But he was the general manager the year that Urban was there.
Right.
But
by default almost, wasn't it?
Right.
He was like an assistant GM and then
correct.
The firing happened and then they hired Urban, then he became the GM or somewhere around
But there was pressure for Shad to fire Trent then.
Yeah.
That's when the clowns came out because they were going to keep him and all that. So how do you keep him through that? And then
the original clowns came out then?
Mm-hmm.
I don't remember that. I remember when we were losing and not doing well. All that. Interesting.
It was the end of that
season. You know what,
season.
by the way, our fan base has been up and down with Trent Baalke. Down more lately, but, there are plenty. Look, I wrote down, and not that I had to, but you take the first-round picks of Trent Baalke's tenure here in Jacksonville, all right? I'll read them off to you just so you're in remembrance. Trevor, Etienne, Trayvon, Lloyd, Anton, BTJ. Who's had the greatest impact? BTJ, maybe?
You got to say Trevor, I think, still, with that 2022 playoff run.
Okay, fair enough. Any misses?
Any misses of those? Anton had a down year, but I wouldn't call him a miss.
Okay. Etienne a miss?
I don't think so. Miss is too strong.
Lloyd? He was 27th overall. We traded up to get him.
Teetering on miss, man.
Well, teeter on how they're using him. He's good against the run. He's leading the team in tackles, I think.
He is.
Him and Foye.
But Tommy, I'll steal.
Lost in coverage.
I'll steal something from something you say a lot.
Yep.
Ventrell Miller should never leave the field.
Oh, without a doubt.
Okay. Why?
Because he's more athletic and can cover better than both those guys. Both, by the way.
And you're talking about, you're saying that about a 4th-round pick. I agree. I wholeheartedly agree with that, by the way.
Yeah.
But you're talking about a 4th-round pick versus a 1st.
Yeah.
To me, that is enough justification to call somebody a miss. I don't disagree with you. They could use him better.
Yeah.
But a first-round pick should be balling regardless. A first-round pick shouldn't lose Devontae Adams.
My point of bringing this up is, and I'm not that big of a fan of Trent Baalke. I don't know him that well personally. I just mean as far as a GM, because his track record's just not as good as it needs to be.
Yeah.
And I do think he doesn't fill the locker room with the kind of guys it takes to win in that locker room under Doug Peterson. I think Eric Armstead's a great example. You brought him in, promised him something different. You didn't think about the team. He's playing more tackle now. By the way, don't they look great when it's 41, 91, 94, 44? Are you kidding me?
Yes.
That's a formidable defensive line.
Yes.
And it should be out there all the time.
Yes.
All the
time.
Yes. But anyway, it's not. It's getting better. So you just look at those first-round picks, and if you're in front of, Shad and you're Baalke, you're saying, well, these aren't bad. These are some cornerstones. Some of these guys are cornerstones of our franchise right now. Now, you could go down second round, third round. There are misses. I'm not saying there aren't. And I'm not making a case for them, but I know what they're saying. I'll tell you what else they're saying. They're 11-6 together versus the AFC South. Did you know that?
Yes.
Okay. 23-29 in 3 years together.
It's a pretty wild stat.
Yeah.
It's a little misleading because they haven't been very good the last couple of years. Doug and Trent together, they're 5-1 against the Titans.
Yeah.
Isn't that wild?
Yeah.
2022, they swept them.
Right.
This year, they swept them. 1-1 last year.
And by the way, I put it out on Twitter. You sweep the Titans, you sweep the Colts. It just means the division is absolutely horrific.
Correct.
It's awful.
The context is the division size.
There is no solace in sweeping those two losers.
No, there's not.
This year, anyway.
I think. So, I was talking about this the other day in regards to Trent because they're. I'm not a huge fan either, but to your point, to the larger point I think you're making is that he's inarguably brought some good pieces here.
Yeah.
Correct.
I think so. We can name them.
Like,
we don't have to, but you can
is BTJ not a slam dunk?
And moved back a couple times.
Traded back twice.
Anton, same thing.
Traded back twice and got the best rookie receiver in this class so far. Yep. I mean, got to give credit where it's due. What I would say, and there's other picks we can look at that we have, and certain ones have been good picks. What I would say is when you add in the context of where he's gotten a pick time after time and the cap space they've been given to work with, he's been given too much ammo and not hit enough targets. Does that make sense what I'm saying? He's had good hits, but because it'd be different if you're
talking free agency too.
I'm talking all of it combined, yes. Because I would say this track record of talent acquisition, if they were picking, 25th in the draft every year and they only had, $5 million, $10 million of cap space to work with every offseason, then it'd be pretty damn good given the resources. But he was given a lot more than that to not have enough slam dunks, in my opinion.
Yeah.
Free agency, there's not a lot of hang your hat free agency. It was Kirk, but he's kind of declined.
Well, Kirk's been injured. That's a damn shame. I mean, Ingram's a good pick.
Ingram's
a really good
Ingram's
pick.
probably the one slam dunk.
Sheriff's been good, overall. I mean, he had an okay. Listen, we can't really complain about the O-line this year, I don't think, overall. Could you upgrade them? Sure. I'll tell you who had a heck of a year. Ezra Cleveland, I think, had a heck of a year. I really do. I think he was physical. I think he missed some blocks. They all did. Don't get me wrong. They weren't perfect. But that O-line is not what the problem was. It was a defense overall. And then, missing on different things on offense. But I don't think the offensive line. Now, would I upgrade Walker Little? Yes, I would. And look, and I said it at the time. Maybe it didn't mean nothing. But, I mean, if Trent, I don't know. So say Trent knows he's on his way out, yet he still does the deal with Walker. He totally hamstrung the next GM who may not like Walker. But now you got to keep him. Now he may be your swing. He may not be your starter, but you paid him to be a starter on the low end of the spectrum, but still. You know what I mean? So is that Baalke saying, you're getting rid of me? Well, guess what? I'm going to stick it to you. But the owner's got to agree on it, right?
Yeah.
Agree on the contract. Yeah. I don't know. If I'm Shad Khan, I'm going 17 out of 22. You're 5-17 out of your last 22. And I would not run it back as is if I kept them at all. And I'm okay if they sweep them. It's fine. They haven't won. And they got no one else to blame but themselves. So I don't feel sorry. I feel sorry for their families more than them. If they got to move and kids got to be uprooted. But that's the business, and it's too bad. That's just the way it is. But they haven't won enough. And you're right about that. That's to where you could say, hey, you got an owner that has opened up his pocket checkbook for you, and you're not winning. And you told him it was the best team assembled, and he said this is the year. So with that, you'd think, oh, they're already gone. But why aren't they already gone? Maybe he wants to wait to the end. I don't know. We're going to find out Monday, I guess.
And you've had, when Trent Baalke inherited this roster as the general manager, they had been terrible the years before. So those rosters had been gutted and dead cap had already been paid off. Trent Baalke entered his first couple of off seasons with a ton of money to spend. A ton of money to spend.
I thought his 22 free agency class was good.
I thought it was fine.
Yeah, it was good.
But it's not.
It's obviously not good enough at 4-12.
Well, right. That's kind of the point.
And 5-17. Let's go to that one.
And factor in how many top 10 picks did they have in that time frame as well. And that's kind of what I'm saying. Again, like the whole track record, it's not like he hasn't brought in good pieces. He has. But relative to the ammo he was given to do so, it's never been enough.
Okay. I think that's fair. If you went pick by pick, free agent by free agent, probably you could find some duds. You could find some real good ones. It
wasn't Gene Smith, where it felt like every single pick sucked. Or
I think Gene, and I love Gene. He is a good friend. I've seen him forever, but I think he wanted that small school guy to do well. And he always went that route.
It was too often diamond in the rough from William and Mary instead of the dude from LSU that's just beating people.
Correct.
It wasn't. I think it's even been better probably than Caldwell. Than Dave. Like Caldwell was he'd have some good gems in the 5th round that would pan out, but his first round picks were just miss after miss after miss after miss.
Right.
It's been better than that, but it hasn't been good enough.
It's interesting too. I remember Shaq Harris, who I loved. He wasn't that great in first round. His 2nd through 7th were unbelievable. Some of the greatest players to ever play Jaguar football.
And that's the majority of your team.
With 2nd and 7th round. Yeah. He barely missed in that regard.
I mean, I just look at these first-class organizations that are always winning. Even their teams that aren't as good are always competitive. The Steelers, the Ravens, all the teams.
Okay, let's do a little thing real quick, can we? All right, let's go offensive starters. Who are you? These are Baalke's picks. Well, just not coaching-wise, just Baalke's picks, right? Who are you don't like and, good pick, bad pick. Here we go. Brian Thomas Jr., good pick.
Yeah.
Kirk.
Good pick.
Ingram.
Good pick.
Gabe Davis.
Bad pick.
So far, bad.
Really bad.
I agree with that. Parker Washington.
Good pick.
Okay. Offensive line, go through the 5.
Walker Little, in my opinion, bad pick.
Okay. Definitely reached for never. He hasn't reached that potential of a 2nd-round pick. Who was supposed to be your quintessential left tackle.
He's not. I don't care they extended him. He's not bookend stalwart. Don't have to worry about it left tackle.
I agree.
He's not that guy.
You know how I feel.
So
he's solid, but he's not. He's not.
And a guy you've given this much time to develop that you picked in the 2nd round, bad pick.
Okay.
Ezra Cleveland, good pick.
Yep.
Mitch Morse, good pick, but Luke Fortner, bad pick.
Okay. Fair.
Mitch Morse is only here because Luke Fortner's bad.
Okay.
Brandon Sheriff, we might disagree here. I say bad pick because I think he was good his first season. I think he's been long in the tooth ever since, and I think he's kind of hamstrung that position to move on and go get a young stud.
I would draft his replacement because you don't have it. You can't count on Cooper. I hope he comes back healthy, and you never know, but you just can't count on that anymore.
Yeah.
Hance is okay, but you can upgrade Hance, Blake, and he's done a good job filling in, I still think Van Lanen could play guard, but whatever.
I do too. He doesn't play enough, in my opinion.
Yeah, he's good, just physical player. But I wouldn't be surprised if this is Brandon's last year. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Playing ball. He's a grizzled old grizzly. I love him though. He's a grizzly bear, man, and he's not a big rock. When he showed that emotion in the fight, you're like, whoa, But he tries to be a real physical player. I think they rally around that physicality. So I don't think it's a bad pick. I just think he's getting a little older. I'm sure he's banged up. You have to realize too, okay? And I get him as I'm older, But, you get an elbow injury. Could be tendonitis. Could be a hyperextension. You get a shoulder injury. Could be a little tear in the labrum that you're going to play through. When you go to punch, you got barely any strength. And it's so, it's like, so I think he goes through that kind of stuff that we don't realize. Ankle, whatever, they all do. But okay, we'll just say we'll put that on the not so good pick. Anton, we'll see if he bounced back, but overall decent pick.
I would say good pick. I'm not even close to giving up on Anton.
I think he's a good pick, and they need to use him a lot more.
He's clearly good.
Yep.
He clearly steps up when called upon.
Yep.
I struggle, and this is probably more coaching than Balky. I struggle with the fact that when Ingram's out there, you don't hear from him at all.
He did the 1 week, then they don't go back to him.
I struggle with that.
Yeah.
And because
I think he could be a superstar in the making. I really do.
I totally agree he needs to be used more.
Yep.
I can't understand for the life of me why Doug's calling card in Philly was 2 tight end sets.
Yeah.
And they just don't do it here. It bothers the living hell out of me.
Yeah.
So something's weird there.
Yep.
Good pick, I guess. It's probably not fair to call him a back.
Etienne and Bigsby.
Etienne, good pick.
Yeah, I think he's a solid pick.
Bigsby, is mediocre pick an option?
Sure.
Mediocre.
Just an okay pick. If he didn't fumble, you'd probably feel better about it.
100%.
I would too. Who am I missing on offense? Farrell wasn't a Balky pick. That was before him, I think, right, with Urban?
That was
Urban's year.
Balky was the GM,
right?
But Farrell went to Ohio State. Urban knows him personally.
Right.
Urban Meyer picked Luke Farrell.
All right, so defensively.
And then Trevor.
Well, of course, Trevor. I mean, but anybody would pick Trevor.
Yeah,
if you didn't pick Trevor, they would have raked you over the coals.
Correct.
Any team.
Could you imagine if they had picked Zach Wilson instead?
Oh, goodness gracious. No.
Let's
go defensively. When the ends, he had nothing to do. Well, Trayvon, I think Hutchinson's fantastic. I think Trayvon's going to just be a very, very good to great player. I think he's an all-around player. I think he's only going to get better rushing the passer. I think he's got the incredible insanely athletic ability. I think he's only going to get better, barring injury. I do. So I'm okay with that pick. If they had Hutchinson, yeah, he'd be fine. But I think Trayvon's okay. So I'm not going to say that's a good pick in my opinion.
I agree. I agree.
He's getting better.
And what I like about Trayvon is even in weeks he's not getting sacks, he still shows up. Yeah. You see him in the backfield. You see him making plays. You see him pressuring guys. You see him tackling guys. It's basically never that you have an entire game where you're like, does Trayvon exist? You don't really have that.
Okay, we went over Lloyd. How about Aluakin?
Good pick.
Miller?
Good pick.
Muma?
Bad pick. Real bad pick. Yeah. I hated it the day they drafted him.
I don't even know why he did it, to be honest with you.
The day they drafted him, I was like, this makes no sense.
Yeah, why draft? Why move up for Devin Lloyd? And then, although Devin rushed a passer in college, he's another one. They just,
Devin Lloyd,
his position.
In my opinion, bad pick.
Yeah. Well, he hasn't lived up to a first round.
Devin,
pick. I don't think he's bad. I just think he's used the wrong way.
I agree. Back to the Muma pick.
Yep.
That could have been a guard.
I know.
That could have been a D tackle.
It was unnecessary. I don't know why they had him ranked so high, but
that could have been another corner. Like that could have been a safety. There were so many. And I know you don't just draft. You don't just go by need. I understand that.
Yep.
Balky. One thing I don't like about him as a drafter, he's too religious about best player available. In my opinion, he does not factor need in enough. In my opinion. Because I get it doesn't need to be 100-0 either way.
Yeah, right.
You have to marry the two, in my opinion. Because if you're
best,
times
you do.
If you're so okay.
Depending if you're set up, if your team's set up, then you can be a little more lenient on need.
Well, right. And so my thing is like with the Muma pick, right? You would sign Foye Oluokun that offseason. So you know he's your starting Mike. And then you go get Devin Lloyd in the draft. So now you have your 2 starting backers. You just traded up for Devin Lloyd. He's clearly going to start for you.
Right.
Let's say Moon was the best player they had available. Okay. If there's a guard that's number 2 or a D tackle that's number 2 that's only a little below,
right?
You got to take that guy because you need it so much more.
Well, an example is not taking Osiris Torrance. Like that was a terrible, terrible decision. A kid out of Florida. with Buffalo. You and I have been complaining about
the Bills average over 5 yards a carry, by the way, when they run the ball.
Yeah, he's a beast. We thought he was going to be a beast. I don't know why you didn't want that.
So aggravating.
Defensive tackle, other than Mason Smith, you haven't really invested. You can't say Eric because he's more of an end, I guess, but he should be a tackle. Jordan Jefferson getting a little bit more time, 4th-round pick. We'll see. I think that's an incomplete right now. Mason Smith, I think, has got a arrow pointing up.
I agree.
think he could be a really good player, so I'm okay with that. That's where you would take a project because he's just so big and athletic. Like you feel like, yeah, I can make. I think they probably felt that way out of Walker. You know, big, athletic, was good before he hurt his knee. You know, handled his own as a left tackle for Stanford, and then it just didn't come to fruition.
Well, to them it did because they extended him.
I guess.
But to us,
yes. Okay, so we went through the backers. Defense. Look, other than Mason and Jordan. I think Ham had a pretty good year overall, although, listen, we could talk about who had a great year and who didn't. The defense totally sucked this year overall, so it's almost moot, whatever. I mean, the guys that had good years, they can have a little, solace like, hey, at least I had a good year. I agree with that, but overall, you shouldn't be touting anything because your defense is terrible. And, like, when I see all the, these pressures, pressure, so what? Does it really matter? I tell you, they really got to do something about pressures because you could pressure, the quarterback can escape. What if he runs for a first down or throws for a first down or throws a completion? That the pressure don't mean anything. What does it mean? That's why I don't like the pressure stuff.
I cannot tell you how happy I am that you just said that.
I say it all the time. I'm like,
because
what are you talking about?
Because you,
not you, but pressures.
Yeah. You played in the league. You played linebacker. You were part of a front seven.
Yeah.
So you get it. You get how important sacks are. Because so I think what happened with the whole pressures versus sacks thing, Nick Saban said at one time, like 10 years ago, that like sacks are overrated, like you got to worry about pressures. Yep. And I think he was right at the time, but people have just taken that and run with it way too far. Yeah. Listen.
It's like EPA.
Right. Like,
shove
listen.
that one up your backside.
Pressures are great. You need pressures, whatever. The fact that Josh Hines Allen only has 8 sacks is a problem.
Yeah,
that's a problem.
Yeah.
Okay, so if he's captain pressure and he gets pressures all the time, and it's him, Myles Garrett, and T.J. Watt that lead the league in pressures or whatever, all the PFF stuff you hear all the time. Okay, then how come those two guys always have double-digit sacks?
Right.
I mean, it matters. It matters, especially in today's NFL.
Yeah.
Like, I think back to last year. I think of the classic play. Sunday Night Football here in Jacksonville against the Ravens. Yep. When Lamar Jackson, Dwan Smoot had him dead to rights. Remember that play?
Yep.
And Lamar Jackson spun out of it and made this crazy play to Likely caught it the 2-yard line. They're in the end zone the next play.
Right.
That's a pressure.
Right. So what? Right. That doesn't matter. Now, I did a little research because I was just curious. So I wanted to look up. I saw this pressure thing. He needs 3 pressures, Josh says, to reach 70 for the year, which puts him in really good company. I was saying it earlier on the show. You were out of the room. Trey Hendrickson, guys like that, okay? And then I looked up, his different, and take it for what it's worth, right? I use PFF, what's that, Pro Football Focus?
Yeah.
And then Pro Football Reference, okay? So Josh Hines Allen on PFF's grade overall, he's 15th out of 205 edge rushers. Now, they're not all starters, right? Because you can't.
Yeah.
82.7 is his grade. His 63 pressures, which is a little off from what they're saying on the other, because he needs only 3 to get to 70, is 8th out of 205. His run D, which I thought would be better, is 70 percentile, and he's 39th overall. Sacks are not. They have him at 9. It's 16th overall. Hurries are now. This is interesting. So PFS has a hurry stat, and he's got 46, which is 4th overall. Now that to me, you made the quarterback throw it early. That's better than a pressure. Make sense? At least that's how I view a hurry, and hits could come in those hurries. You know what I mean? And then his pass rush grade is 10th. Now, if you're one of those nerds out there that looks at PFF and like that's the holy grail, well, this guy's totally underperformed then, right? A lot of people, man, they got up in arms after that clip last week. I'm like, what are you talking about? I mean, doesn't he have to? It's funny how fans are selective on who they go after and who they don't. You know what I mean? But that's not. I didn't pay him. We paid him $31 million a year, which is top 4. He's nowhere near it.
Tommy,
He's nowhere near it.
you know what it is?
By the way, if I may,
Yeah.
Pro Football Reference has him at 19 QB hits for the year. So 19 QB hits out of 16 games. Won a game. Is that wreaking havoc in the backfield? Is that, you know what I mean? Shouldn't I be hitting the quarterback more than once a game? I'm not talking sack. I'm talking about getting to him and hitting him. Not pressuring him so he gets out and does whatever the hell he wants to do. I'm talking about hitting him. Should he have more than that? I think so. Anyway, the defense overall just has been terrible. They're ranked terrible. They're still ranked terrible. By the way, Trayvon's on the PFF grade. He's at 65th overall, which I thought he'd be higher. 53 pressures, which is 29 sacks. So he's got the pressure to sack ratio. He's got it better than Josh. That kid's going to get paid and should, without question. Well, who's going to win the game? I don't know. I don't really care. And I don't know how many people do care, you know, whether you're a Colts member or a Jaguar member. They've got nothing to play for. Although I'd much rather be 7-9 with a chance to go 8-9 than 4-12 with a chance to go 5-12 or 4-13. Oh, just so brutal. And by the way, can we do something locally? No matter who they bring in, can we keep the hype to a minimum?
No, that won't
Please.
happen.
The hype machine, I swear. Sometimes I think you curse the team when you hype them too much.
So, Tommy, I wanted to comment on something you said a second ago because I think it's a really interesting thing that as the season is over and we get more kind of time in the offseason to talk about bigger things, it's such a fascinating thing to look at with fans. When you were saying it's funny how there's like certain players and coaches that fans will want to defend, and there's certain players they just kill. I feel like I've kind of figured this out. Players and coaches that symbolize when things are not going well.
Yep.
Because when things are going well, they love everyone. Players and coaches that symbolize hope and symbolize future success are the ones that get defended really heavy. Versus players that are deemed more easily replaceable, easy to blame everything on. Those are the ones that people want to kill, right? And I've been guilty of this myself as well. I'm not saying I'm not trying to put myself above people.
I know what you said.
Probably the best example of this was last year, Press Taylor.
Yep.
Because we've talked about play calling, so right?
Yeah.
Last year, the fan base had not given up on Doug yet. Doug was still symbolic of this good coach and someone that could develop Trevor and somebody that was going to be our leader for years to come. But when the offense started looking clunky and messy, Doug Peterson's offense that he has a gigantic thumbprint on every week.
Yep.
But we hear this report before the Colts game last year, the first game of the season, that Press is calling plays. So it's like, okay, well, it's easy to just fire the OC and have Doug call plays. So whenever the offense was bad, well, it must be Press Taylor's fault. Because Doug is this awesome guy.
Oh, right.
Now the fan base has given up on Doug. Nobody likes Doug anymore.
Right.
Which I don't either. I think Doug needs to go. I think I'm not saying he's blame-free. What I am saying is every single time that something bad happens, it can't be Trevor's fault. It can't be on defense. It can't be Josh Allen's fault or Trayvon Walker's fault. It must be Doug Peterson's fault.
Right.
And
or someone else.
And it's because we all know that the next iteration of this team, Trevor's going to be a part of. Josh is going to be a part of. Trayvon's going to be a part of.
Right.
All these guys. So we psychologically want them to be the ones that are doing it right. And the guys that are going to be gone to be the ones doing it wrong.
Right.
Because
well, it's almost in a way, I was just thinking while you were talking, like they're trying to protect the franchise a bit.
Well, that's exactly what it
is. They don't want them to, like they want Trevor to be this phenomenal first pick, generational, like leading us to Super Bowl. Like they want it so bad, and they'll defend them to not everybody, but a lot of fans. It's fine. You're fans. You fan however you want, but you sometimes you don't. You're biased in your critique. I mean, you are
100,000%.
Biased in your.
I completely agree with that. Because listen again, I'm guilty of this too.
Yeah.
Like when Trevor doesn't play well.
Yeah.
I try to find every possible reason to make it someone else's fault. I do the same thing.
Because you don't want it to be a miss. And he's not a miss. I'm not saying that. But you don't want it to be a miss because when you miss in the first round on your QB, it sets you back for years.
But
we've seen it.
Correct. I 100% agree with you that.
But he's not a miss. I'm not trying to say that.
No, he's not. It does not mean he's a miss. It doesn't mean he's not the future. It doesn't mean that he's not going to be a guy that's hoisting a Lombardi in Jacksonville one day.
I think he can.
I 100% believe
I think you can win with Trevor Lawrence.
100.
I just don't think he's this superstar QB yet. I think he's shown glimpses.
I 100% agree.
And he does have generational physical tools, and he's tough. But that's not enough to win in the NFL. He's got to have more than that, and he doesn't just yet.
And it does not mean he's not going to be all those things. What it does mean, though, is he is by far the most important human being that is part of the Jaguars, be it GM, coach, player, whatever, that has to pan out.
No doubt.
That has to pan out.
Right.
So, and we all know that.
Right.
So because we know that, if he struggles, we mentally want to make it, well, it's not Trevor, it's the coach. Because the coach we can get rid of.
Well, because you hear this talk, they've ruined him. Like, they haven't ruined Trevor. What are you talking about? If he got the crap kicked out of him, and it was rattled. I do think he got rattled a little bit this year, but like totally like seeing ghosts, totally not doing things good, like maybe. But no, you just got to hone him in a little bit more. He makes fantastic plays, and then he misses routine plays. That's what bothers me the most. Trevor misses way too many routine throws that if he would just make more of those, he'd be that much better of a QB. He would.
I do think, too, I mean, you're seeing it all across the league.
Yeah.
All it is going to take is the right fit with Trevor and the right guy that's calling. Because people always say you need to call plays that your QB's comfortable with, right? Yep. We always hear that. Well, I mean, the reality is if they're not comfortable with enough stuff, then it's going to handcuff your offense, right? True. So really it's about, can I develop my QB enough to be comfortable with enough things that I always have something that can beat the defense.
Well, on top of that, it can't be him fitting into your offense. Your offense has to be customized for his skill set.
Correct.
Period. You have to build around Trevor Lawrence's skill set and what he does best, and then that's how you build it out.
And the question is, because I think there's a lot of offensive coaches they could bring in that would say that and do that, and that'd be their philosophy, and that's awesome.
Yep.
But the question is, understanding you're customizing your offense to Trevor Lawrence, can you then be creative enough to have enough stuff to always keep a defense on their toes?
Yeah.
I believe that Doug, I really believe Doug came in here when he took the job in 22, and I really believe he made an offense that works well for Trevor.
Yeah.
And we saw that in 2022. The issue is it didn't evolve enough.
Right.
We've talked. They run the same play action crosser with Trevor every game he's in.
5 pass plays that would work.
Right.
When they hit him.
Right.
And not just Trevor, Mac too. It seems like it's the same stuff over and over.
You just can't tell me that someone as talented as Trevor Lawrence can't do other stuff.
No, right.
Right. So whoever, if it's Ben Johnson or whoever, like, can they do that next step? Can they not just make an offense that works for him, but also game plan week in, week out? I can make a game plan week 2 that works for him against a defense that plays cover 2 all the time. And then in week 4 against a team that blitzes and plays man, I can also make a game plan that works for him.
Yep.
So, I mean, look, this year, Jared Goff, he's fantastic.
Yep.
Sam Darnold looks fantastic.
Yep.
Right? Like all these guys, Baker Mayfield looks fantastic.
Burrow.
You're telling me Trevor's not every bit as talented as these dudes?
Physically, he's got all the tools, without a doubt.
And these are dudes that were cast aside and told they can't do it, and now they look amazing. It's because they got with the right dude that fits for them.
Well, I'm not a QB coach, but watching Trevor play, he's got to have better awareness and better accuracy. That's all. And if he can hone that in, he could be a top-tier QB. I know everyone's out there going, he's one now. He's not one now. He's not, but he could be. He could be. He's got all the tools to be one. And I'll tell you this, and I've always said this about Trevor. He's a tough hombre. He's tough. He's the kind of QB you want that's going to take a hit and still deliver the rock.
Physically and mentally.
Yeah, and emotionally. He's got it all in that regard. All right.
Sorry.
No, go ahead. Finish up.
I was going to say, like, with him, like, you looked at when things started to really fall apart this year, and Doug became this weird. It was weird. He had never been like this before, but he got real chippy and had this attitude with the media.
Yeah.
And he was just being a smart ass.
Okay, here's the problem, in my opinion. The media has been kissing the ring for years now.
Yeah.
The hype's way over the top. And it comes from inside the Jaguars, too. It's not just 10XL and the other media members out here. It's everybody. And they act like they're your friend. And then when things don't go well, they start acting like a journalist or, someone that's trying to figure out what's going on, and you get defensive. And you're like, the hell? Last week you were walking down the hallway with me, telling me what a great job I did and how great things are. Whatever it may be,
Yeah.
I tell you, I told this story before with Del Rio. I was buddies with him, and then he heard me rip the team. He's like, it's got to be like that. I'm like, Jack, your team's not good. Well, why do you have to be so critical? Because that's how I do it. That's what I do.
Yeah.
And we're still friends, but I had to okay, I can't be close. I can't. I mean, you become friends with these guys or quasi-friends, and then you rip them. They're not going to like you. I'd be like, you too, buddy. You know what I mean? Like if it was the other way around, like I befriended somebody in the media, and then they write something really bad about me, and I'd be like, you know what? Then we can't be tight like that. It's just not going to work. Now, if you on the front end, like Sam Kavaris and I have always been friends, and from the beginning, like 1995, because he would be like, hey, I'm not looking to get a scoop. I'm just, I'm going to tell the truth, my truth. I'll be respectful, but I don't know. I think that's what happens with Doug. And look, it is what it is. When you lose, nothing's good. Nothing's good. Nobody likes you. Even I'm sure when you go home, the wife's like, the hell is going on? You know what I mean? I know my wife would be. She'd be like, Tom, what is going on? Why are they making me mistakes? Why are they doing this stuff? Why? It comes at them from all angles when you lose. That's the business. And bad because you signed up for it.
So my whole thing on that though was like, Doug was clearly starting to crack when things were versus Trevor.
I guarantee he wishes he never said anything about play calling.
100%.
Guaranteed.
100%.
Yeah.
Versus Trevor, no matter how poorly he plays, no matter how much someone else does something, Trevor stands up there every single week. He answers every question with professionalism like a man, and that's mental toughness, man.
Totally.
I guarantee you, we know how competitive he is. We know how tough he is, all that. Yeah. I guarantee you, he is furious when they lose and they've lost 3 straight or whatever, and he didn't play well. I guarantee you, he is hot.
Yep.
But he still goes up there and he does what he needs to do.
Yeah. He's a good advocate, for sure. He's a good front man.
Well, but
he's a good representative of our city.
To me, that's also a good representation for mental toughness translating to the field as well.
Agreed.
Because that tells me when you're down 27-0 against the Chargers, you're not going to freak out and panic
or give up.
Right.
Yeah.
But
that was coming up on 3 years ago.
I know. No, for 100%. 100%.
I mean, we can't keep going back to that. No.
Anymore, you can't. 1,000%.
Yeah. At least going into 2025. I think 2022 is a long, long time ago.
Last thing on Trevor real quick, Tommy, I do want to say, I thought about this last week, and I don't know if you've thought about this.
Yep.
BTJ's slot fade touchdown.
Yep.
Okay. Great touchdown, right?
Great throw, great catch, everything.
That throw from Mac was perfect.
Where was it, Grammage? Where was it?
High and outside, over the shoulder to the left. Yes.
Where it's supposed to be?
All the rage right now is Brian Thomas Jr., as it should be.
Yeah.
If Trevor made that throw, every last Jaguar fan would be gushing over it.
Yeah, right.
But because it was Mac, who's not the future, it's like, whatever.
Yeah, lucky throw. No, I know.
I just thought that was interesting. And again, not to say Trevor has not made he's made a lot of ridiculous throws.
Without a doubt.
His touchdown pass to BTJ week 1 against the Dolphins is one of the best throws I've ever seen.
Yeah,
it was insane.
No doubt.
I'm just saying, just back to that point of like, we defend the guys who are the future versus we don't care about the guys that aren't. I've heard almost no one talk about how good of a throw that was for Mac Jones.
It was a great throw.
But if that was Trevor, that's all you'd be hearing about this week, right?
Yeah, what a dime.
Right, exactly.
Dropped a dime, man. No doubt about it. All right, let's get to the team stats review. Jags versus the Colts, brought to you by Team Tommy Mac, a great group of businesses. Please go check out TommyMac.net. See all their logos. Click on the logos. Takes you right to the respective websites. I love them all. They're always there for you when they are needed. It is Carpetman Flooring, carpetman.biz, LVP Carpetman's LVP. Get the highest quality flooring at the lowest prices. Chris Lucero's bail bonds, 904-822-2245. You get thrown in the clink, he gets you out in a blink. Yes, I made that up myself. He's the number one name in the bail game. No question about that. J-Dog, junk removal and hauling, veteran-owned and operated. They take your junk, they refurbish it, and they give it to families in need. Veteran families in need. They also have a hauling business for all your construction debris. Check out jdog.com. Morgan & Morgan, new to the team, but not new, of course. The largest injury law firm, personal injury law firm in the entire free world. For the people.com. Great to represent them and all their success. Fields Auto, Fields Cadillac, right there in Jacksonville, down in St. Augustine. My title sponsor for Riding Shotgun. We'll start back up next week. Make sure you check out Fields at I-295 and Blanding, and down at the St. Augustine Mall. Azar sausage, whether in your favorite dish or in a bun, Azar sausage is the one. Yeah, I came up with that one myself, but it is great sausage. We had sausage dogs last night, the hot. They were unbelievable with some, we had some leftover sides from New Year's Day meal, and it was absolutely fantastic. Check them out in Winn-Dixie, all your local grocers. Newmark Phoenix Realty Group, the #1 commercial real estate firm right here in Northeast Florida and beyond. They handle it all commercial, industrial, retail, office. They handle all types of development and investment properties. Make sure you check them out, phoenixrealty.net or 904-399-5222. Freedom Finance is owned by Courtney Myers. He will help you in all types of CFO duties. He's a fractional CFO. He's a one-man show that can handle it all, your bookkeeping, your forecasting, your fundraising. He'll make sure your books are impeccable and that you're off to the right start. Check him out at freedomfinance.llc. Salt Air Inn and Suites, owned by Beach Life Rentals. You see Beach Life all up and down the beach with the chairs and the umbrellas and the boards. Well, you get all that and more when you stay at Salt Air Inn and Suites. 4 blocks from the beach, from the ocean, 2 blocks from all the action. Yeah, we love hanging out down at the corner, as it's called. A lot of restaurants, bars, and shops where Neptune Beach meets Atlantic Beach when you're looking to stay the night or the weekend or a week or more. Check out Salt Air Inn and Suites. Family Tradition Specialty Foods, home of Coconut Joe's hot sauces. Sent a 4-pack out. I got one coming out to one of my listeners, Dale. I'll get it out to you, my man. I tell you, the Sriracha's our favorite. Pineapple Ghost, phenomenal. Go to Family Tradition Specialty Foods.com. Make sure you put pound Team Tommy Mac in the discount code bar and get a BOGO free. All right, Code Ninjas, get your kids into the after-school program, ages 5 to 15. Coding, tech. You're talking all types of technology, IT, security as well, Roblox, Minecraft, even build your own video games, all at Code Ninjas. Check out their 4 great locations at CodeNinjas.com. And last but certainly not least, Michael Nick is a State Farm agent. See, he's been my agent for over 20 years, over 2 decades. Came out British for just a moment, and he's the best, man. He's always there, him and his team. I know rates have gone up. I got to give him a call, actually, because my rates went up, but they go up, but his team is there for you, and they do a great job. Whether it's home, life, auto, or supplemental health, make sure you check them out. 904-777-6888. 88. And, of course, want to thank Tentel XL for being a part of the family. Make sure you check out TommyMac.net, please. I appreciate that. All right, matchup to watch out. Jonathan Taylor, can we stop his ass? I don't think we do. I think he's going to run all over us and make us look really bad in the last game. He's got 10 touchdowns on the ground, 1 in the air, average at 4.7 yards a carry. We give up 4.4. So smell you later. He's going to rock us, I think, and that could be a big, big problem for our defense. Another great matchup to watch. Brian Thomas Jr. and Kenny Moore II. Go check them out. You want to just watch a matchup, watch when they are lined up on each other, and let's see.
By the way,
what happens. Yes,
Kenny Moore historically does not play well against us.
No, I know. We should have a big day. Look, and I think Max coming into his own with the offense. I think it's looking all right. It's looking all right. We'll see what Brian Thomas Jr. can do. Needs 135 yards, like I said earlier, to go ahead of Moss, OBJ, and Michael Clayton for most yards as a rookie. How about that? He can do it. 135. Come on. Do that in the first half, buddy. Let's get it going. Okay, let's see. Points per game. We'll start with the Jags. On offense, 18.6. On defense, 25.6. Terrible on defense. You guys are terrible all year. Offense for the Colts, 21.9, 22 points. They give up about the same as the Jags, 25 points. Yards per carry, they're all kind of the same. We're at 4.3. Our guys have dipped. Bigsby down to 4.7. ETN down to 3.8. They're at 4.7. Taylor's got 4.7. AR's got 5.8 if he plays. Be interesting to see what happens there. Both defenses aren't very good. 4.4 for us, 4.3. So every time they carry the ball, they're getting over 4 yards a carry. You do that 3 times, it's first down. So it's terrible. That run defense is absolutely terrible. Yards per attempt plus percentage. Mac is at 6.3 yards attempt, almost 66% completion percentage. AR is at 6.9 with, check this out. What do you think AR's completion percentage is this year? Just take a guess.
Isn't it 48?
Yeah, good guess. 47.7%. That is, jeez. Can you hit the side of a barn? Isn't that what they used to say? He can't even hit the side of a barn. He can't, man, but he sure can take off and run when called upon. Let's see, though, on defense. This is where we're about the same. We give up 8 yards a pass at 68% completion percentage. They give up 7.6 per pass at 70% completion percentage. Both teams just horrible against the pass. Horrible. Third down, we're about the same on offense, around 38%. Same on defense, around 45%. Fourth down, about the same. We're 14 to 25 on offense. They're 14 to 23, or they're 17 to 27, on offense. So they convert 17 to 27 times on fourth down. That fits into us giving it up 14 for 23. They give it up 11 for 20. Sacks, here's interesting. Colts offensive line have given up 29 sacks for the year. We have now given up 30. That's the first week in a while, Grammage, that our O-line's given up more sacks than the opposing team. Like in weeks. But the Colts have gotten it done. I guess they're doing okay in that regard. Part of that's probably not being able to catch AR when he takes off and runs. Sack-wise, we're at 41, and the Colts are at 34. We're at 31. The Colts are at 34. Interceptions, 14 total. Mac has 7. They have 19 total. AR has 12. And our defense is 6. Their defense is 15. We're still negative 14 on turnover. They're negative 5. I mean, we're just terrible. Look, the stats aren't everything, but you can tell why we're bad. Can't you? Third down sucks. Yards per attempt sucks. You can't stop the run. You can't score. You let them score too much. You got negative 14 in turnover. Like, how do you win with those stats? You don't, is the answer. And you never will. But nonetheless, they got one more game to go, and we'll find out what happens with our Jacksonville Jaguars. I know a lot of teams out there thinking the same thing. The Bears being one of them, going against Green Bay. I would imagine Green Bay wins. But we'll see what happens. All right, that's going to do it for me. I got to go save my car and then get ready for the big show tonight. First show of 2025 for the Dad Bods. Come and join us. We're going to rock it. We're going to rock it out. We're so excited. I'll probably be too excited. I'll have to, calm down a little bit, you know what I mean? So I stay within the grasp of everything because I do get all jacked up. I'll be changing my shirt every set, so don't worry. I'll be bringing forth the effort and the sweat, and my band's ready to rock and roll. Dad Bots tonight, Cole Haynes Irish Pub in Atlantic Beach starting at 8 o'clock tonight. All right, that'll do it for us. Grammage, have a great weekend, my man.
Yes, sir.
Peace and love. Grammage and I will keep this thing rolling twice a week. We're going to change the dates to Tuesday and Friday in the off season, so stay tuned for that, and we'll do it at 9 o'clock in the morning. Going to change it a little bit so we can bring you catching up with Tommy Mack each and every Tuesday and Friday right here on 1010XL's podcast platform. Until next time, stay safe, be cool, and stay safe. And we'll see you right here on Catching Up with Tommy Mack. Peace and love.